My name is Dana Doby, assistant coach at Loyola University, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a Fergus native, so a few hours away from here. Born and raised, started playing indoor box lacrosse my whole life, and then was introduced to the wonderful game of field lacrosse with the Canadian U19 national team when I was 13. Got cut from that team, and then ended up making it 4 years later, and then since 2003 being a member of Team Canada till present, until they tell me I need to retire. So I'm holding on to that as long as possible. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit more like midfield transition. My expertise is draw controls, midfield, offense, and defense as well. I played midfield at the University of Maryland, where I graduated, and I was fortunate enough to play for that incredible program. So just want to thank you guys so much for coming out. This is, a Saturday that you're taking away from your family and your friends to become better coaches. And if it wasn't for this group coaching me when I was growing up, I wouldn't have the career that I've had. So thank you guys so much for your time and for being here. Pass it over to Kay.
All right. I'm Kay Morissette. I am the assistant coach at the University of Louisville, where I also played, graduated in 2016. I am a Bowmanville native, very proud Blue Knight. I love the Blue Knights, so super pumped.
Go Northmen!
There's a deep-rooted rivalry with the Northmen, so super
Not
pumped
when I
to be here.
played, Kay. I don't
No, I know.
rivalry.
I know. Well, when I played, there wasn't much either.
That's right.
So super pumped to be back here. I started my career when I was 3 years old. My mom didn't know to put me in peanut lacrosse, box lacrosse, or t-ball. Watched our neighbor play t-ball and said it was like paint drying. So she's like, guess she's going and playing lacrosse. So I went it was Wednesday night, lacrosse was at 6, I had dance at 5, I went from ballet to lacrosse. I did my ballet steps on the lacrosse pad, but I quickly figured out the lacrosse was way better. So I've been playing that, started field lacrosse when I was 8. Barb Boys put me in the U15 house league, and I was 8 years old with girls who were 14, and I showed up with box lacrosse equipment on, and she goes, no, you just need a mouth guard. My mom's like, oh Lord, please help her. So I wasn't very good for a very long time, but then I started playing. I played with Team Canada in 2011 with the U19. We went to Germany, won bronze, which was super fun, and then got the awesome opportunity to play for the 2013 and 2017 World Cup years. Actually, 2013 I was cut, and then I was actually when one of the girls couldn't play, I was the call-up, so I was super pumped. Then I made the 2017, so super excited to be here. And and I'm going to be doing kind of more flow drills. So I got 3v2 continuous, which is a fan favorite with the Louisville girls right now. And then a dad drill, which is a doubling drill. It's defense, attack, defense. And we'll just explain a little bit more on that. And that's another favorite.
I'm Allison Daly. I'm currently the head coach at Canisius. Going through my first 12 months there. So in January will be year 1 for me, taken after. When Kay and the previous head coach, who was my college coach at Canisius, wanted to take Louisville, so a great opportunity for me there. I grew up in Peterborough, Ontario, so I wouldn't say there was a rivalry between any of us, but I was a bit more of a late bloomer than the other two. I didn't start playing till 8th grade, going into 9th grade, so I have been fortunate to play in 07 the U19 World Championships that were held in Peterborough, and then in 2017 with Kay and Dana as well. So good opportunities there. Also fortunate enough to be on the 2015 U19 Canadian staff, where we won gold.
Hey!
Love it.
And then coaching Kay didn't give herself this credit, but on staff with Kay. Again for the 2019 U19 championships that'll be held in Peterborough again, so kind of cool to come full circle. And yeah, other than that, I'll be doing a full field drill, but I was a goalie, so I do some goalie drills in here, and then we'll do some different ones on the field as well for you guys to utilize and get some quality goalie work in at all different levels for you. So.
Hi guys, I'm the only non-Canadian person up here from the States.
So you've had your fill of Tim Hortons.
I have.
In the
Holy
past
moly.
24 hours.
I think I'm on another level right now because an iced cap is apparently what I need to call it, not cappuccino. I coach at Johns Hopkins University. I'm the associate head coach there. Janine Tucker, my boss, has actually come for the past 4 years, and she threw me under the bus to come torture you guys, and I couldn't be more excited to be here. Like I mentioned, born and raised Baltimore, Maryland. I actually played at Loyola for my undergrad
Go Hounds.
a long time ago. Graduated in 2004. During that time, I was on the US team. Never got to compete for a World Cup, but certainly proud
We're thankful for
to
that.
rep my country, but even more proud to go back for alumni games and beat up on all of Dana's girls as much as I can.
I give her the
When I can.
freshman numbers like prior. and
She's
say,
like,
"Let's
here's a
test them."
scout. Just kidding. But certainly love growing the game, love growing myself. I think that's why we all do what we do, because we're constantly students of the game. My drills are up first, mainly defensive concepts. One will morph into offense and defense. But I think we're probably ready to get started. Let's go to start with the star drill crash. First and foremost, I think it's super important that we're very clear. The glory and the glitz and the glam typically does not go with us defenders. And I think, coaching defense, I love it. I've played defense since I was a peanut. There's something really special about that unit that you really can't find anywhere else, and I think it's super important to highlight that as best you can. One thing that I preach to our girls all the time is to have an imagination. Half the drills that we do, they're like, what are you having us do right now? Because they happen once in a lifetime playing lacrosse, but when it happens, you're like, holy crap, that was that drill we did. So breaking things down to its smallest components is a little taxing at times on the defensive end, but it certainly can pay off. But trying to get them to imagine, okay, you have an attacker here, this is how we position ourselves. That's what our star drill crash is about. So again, skipping that first bogeys drill, going to the star drill crash, it's pretty much as basic as it gets. You're basically setting up, your star drill passing. So you have your line here, it's gonna pass over to here, down, and then high and away, okay, let's say this is above, that 12, probably closer to the 15. Essentially what you're gonna do is start with the ball down low, that's a lot. The coach has the ball over here. So she's gonna pass the ball in, down low. And essentially as we go through this, what we're practicing is our off-ball positioning and how we would all crash. Crashing is super important to us. I coach a team-style defense, so it's not, every man for themselves. We're a unit, we're protecting that 8 meter, and when that ball goes in there, it's way more important than your girl on the outside, hanging out, exchanging, picking her nose, I don't know what she's doing. But again, this is just reinforcing the concept of when the ball goes into the 8 meter, is coming there, it's a bigger threat, we have to do something to protect our 8 meter. So again, the ball starts up top of the coach. We make it live by putting it into play down low, okay? And obviously you can adjust this however you see fit, but it's typical star drill passing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. All of those are passing on a string, direct passes. When it gets to this 4th player, they're actually gonna bomb the ball nice and high, a high ball, to this 5th player up top. And essentially what you're sort of imagining is that this attacker all the way up top, who gets this ball, has a defender on her that fell down, she just got beat outright. And every last one of us in this drill has to then crash on this attacker at the top side. Does that make sense for you guys? Okay. So as you're going through this drill, and something that I constantly have to talk to our girls about, as soon as you are releasing the ball, you need to get into your set and ready positioning, open up your mouth, and talk to somebody. At the very least, talk about what you're doing. I'm low. We label the field with numbers. So for us, watch it, Dana. Game number 1, baby.
Game number 1.
We have the 1 spot, 2 spot, 3 spots. And it literally goes all the way around. And the reason we do this is to be able to call ball positioning, to be able to say, hey, when the ball gets to the 5 spot, we need to send an early double, or whatever the concept is. You could have a map of Canada. You could help me use the United States. You know, things of that sort, but anything to make it sort of unique to you guys, to be able to call out instruction as best you can. Hey, this team keeps dodging us on the 3 spot. We gotta drive them to the 4 spot. Something like that, instead of saying, on that right side elbow, we wanna try and force them to that second inside hash, a little bit more clear cut. So for us, we can also talk about where you are. I'm in the 2 spot, low right, whatever it is. So as soon as I pass the ball, immediately I'm talking and I'm in my set and ready positioning. And that is something we practice a lot. I am 36 years old, I forget how old I am at times. And I think for me, it's so much muscle memory. I'm not out there playing every single day of my life anymore, but I know when I say set and ready position, my hips and my butt drop, my chest is up, my core is strong, my arms are strong, and my feet are ready to move. And that's something that I think too often we try and get into too late. And by that, you're already having an attacker go by you, your cutter off ball is already cutting, and you're already trailing. So set and ready positioning is a big deal for our girls, and that's definitely something we preach in this drill. So as soon as I release the ball, I'm set and ready. I can also check into the 8 meter and check back out, which is another thing that is really important for us to steal seconds. We only have 3 seconds in there, right? But we want to take up that space. So instead of staring at you while you're in the 2 spot and looking at you the whole time, I should be opened up to the middle of the field, having my hips facing forward, checking in, supporting my teammates, and checking back out. I gain everything by doing that. I lose nothing. If you decide to cut, I'm already in the space that you want anyway, so I just pick you right up. So I think that's something that we try and stress in this drill as well, as being active, not just sort of standing there being like, yeah, I'm behind you, I'm ready, planting our feet. We play defense with our feet, and that's something that we constantly preach as well. So staying active, staying low is something that happens in this drill. So again, as we're passing through, all the way down to 4, everyone's set and ready by the time 4 bombs the ball up to 5. And essentially what you're telling that, how do I have it here? Yep, D5, is that you're saying, you know, you're going straight down the middle, you're not trying to dodge anyone, save that for later, but you're basically going right into the teeth of this 8 meter, where ideally, everyone is going to be in front of you, deeper than you, slowing your roll forward, which is how we crash. Because a lot of times, what we have a bad habit of doing is going to where the attacker is, we go up to her, instead of sliding where she's going to be. Something that I talk a lot about is going to meet your attacker where she will be, not where she is. A lot of times when you go to where she is, you're fouling. I definitely try to preach to not be in fear of fouling, but it's not something we want to sort of bring about every single time when we can avoid it. So I try not to be fearful of it, but I try and set them up with parameters that help them. So that being said, as this attacker's driving forward, which this kid doesn't exist, apologies. She's your imaginary friend that just got beat, which is why you have to crash. Everybody should be sliding into this space, right? And a lot of times my girls will come in and be like, well, what about shooting space, Coach Tara? What about shooting space? Again, trying to avoid playing in fear of, right? That whistle blows a lot. We all know that. So even when you foul, when you don't foul, it's gonna happen. So we have to just try and be a little bit more proactive, taking care of that 8 meter as best we can. Sometimes this defender 2 and defender 3, they get to her in this space, so you don't have to continue moving forward, right? But it's the motion of moving into that space, being ready to go. If this kid then decides to dodge, you're that next slide, or you're the next person making contact with them. Making contact at the hips. I think too often we are still going for the stick at this point, and the best thing that we can preach to them is slow the momentum, slow them down, play their body, and hips don't lie. You guys know that song? Yeah, no one? Yes. No, but in all seriousness, that's where we have to make the contact. So sitting low, back to my first point, our set and ready positioning. Sitting low, making contact low is critically important in this setup. You might still get called for a foul, okay, that can happen, but we're gonna try and limit those as best we can. As soon as this kid comes in, okay, her momentum slowed, a little stick protection drill. This is typically just us as defenders. We usually don't have attackers down here when we're doing this. She's pulling back out. The girls are pursuing her, not just dropping off. My rule for double teams, you stay in that double until the ball is moved or you come up with it. So that's also another habit we're cultivating here. We crash, she pulls out, so we have this double. She can just little hands or choke up, pass to the coach. Next kid up, steps up, next kid up, steps up, and we go to the next rotation. That's a little confusing, so I'll try and do that again. So after, again, the first rotation comes through, we crash, she pulls out, passes the ball to the coach. That group that was just in there is out, and you literally just have them rotate around the outside, so in a circle, not like a traditional star drill where you go to the line that you pass to. And then the coach throws in another ball down low, and we do the whole thing over again. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Any questions with that concept?
What about goaltender involvement here?
Perfect. So sometimes we have a goalie involved, sometimes we don't. Often, they're not going to get a shot opportunity out of this, but the communication piece, the idea of recognizing, what just happened in front of me. First and foremost, and I'm sure Daly will speak to this in a little bit, but the goal of a goalie is to save the ball. And I think sometimes we get a little swept up in direct and send a slide, and you got to know what's happening, and that can evolve. And really special goalkeepers can do all those things. I've met a couple of really special goalkeepers in my life that can, but other ones are really good at one thing and still not at their best at the other. But the goal at the end of the day is to save the ball. So this, when they don't necessarily have to worry as much about the shot opportunity, saving the ball, they can focus a little bit more on their communication, on what should this look like, in front of my crease. If that makes sense. So sometimes we have them in there, sometimes we don't. It's definitely an added bonus. If we do put them in, we sometimes will go through this just like this, and then other times we'll sort of just encourage this shooter to try and potentially dodge one of the two top slides to potentially get a shot off, so we can make it a little bit more game-like. What else?
I think too, if you guys have a goalie and not someone to work with the goalie, out of this, maybe like coach could yell clear when you feel good about what slides have happened, and then maybe kind of say, all right, person in the 3 spot, every time after this clear, we're gonna hit that 3 spot. So you're getting them to get some clears off of that as well.
And one thing I forgot to mention too, obviously we're coaching at the Division I level, and I think a lot of times we go to coaches clinics and they're like, oh, well, your girls can do that. My girls can't do that. And every single level, no matter what clinics we're running, however old they are, young they are, we're running the same drills that we are running at the college level. It might be a little bit slower. We might have to adjust it here and there, but they're fully capable. And I think that's something we want to encourage you guys to think about as well. Any other questions with that? Cool.
And Tara, what I love about this drill, I remember growing up and doing skeleton offense, where you would just run your offensive sets with no defense over and over and over. And it wasn't until the college level where we started doing skeleton defensive sets, working on that muscle memory. So for you guys at all the different levels that you are, I think this drill is incredible to work on just visualizing what could the offense potentially want to do. So come game time, it's a quick reaction. We know the drive is going, the slide is going, the clear is going. I think that's something at the youth level we don't do as much, but I've valued so much at the college level. Great drill, Tara.
Oh, thanks, Tina. Something just to keep your defenders honest as well with this drill is having the lines actually talk to them. So what we find, again, is that my imaginary friend is here, but I move the ball and immediately I just shift my focus completely there. So what's wrong with that picture? I can't see my girl, and obviously I'm staring at the ball. So we have to find a way to see both, which is obviously using your peripheral vision, checking in, head on a swivel, whichever way you coach it. But since we don't have those attackers actually in position, asking the other defenders to talk to their teammate. And that is a big deal, even at our level. When there is buy-in and we want everyone to be really great, we need our teammates to talk to us, to address us, to give us feedback. And that's definitely something that you can add into that drill. Hey, the next person in line, make sure you're just, even if you just pretend that you're the attacker, just to talk to them, hey, can you see me? See ball and girl. Just gentle reminders like that do go a long way. And that investment certainly comes back to us on game day, for sure.
Another aspect for goaltenders you can utilize in this drill is have the goaltenders working on their footwork, getting into the right position based on where
Yep.
the ball is.
Exactly.
And even for younger goaltenders, someone specifically watching them and know you're off on your angle or you
Yeah.
so you can really watch them. So that you
For
really
sure.
helpful
So
with
as
it.
that ball passes,
Yeah.
they're readjusting,
They're
moving
readjusting
their mounts.
proper
Yeah.
footwork, proper positioning. So that's good for goaltenders.
Beautifully highlighted. Thank you. I need my people. All right. So bogeys. So that was the first drill in the packet. So moving back a page. This is a drill we fully stole from soccer days. That is something we love to do. So our offices overlook Homewood Field, and the majority of the teams practice there throughout the day. So whenever we want to be distracted by our work, obviously we're watching what's going on the field, and we get to see our other teams play. And this was a drill that soccer was doing that we were like, that could work for lacrosse. So essentially, what you're gonna have, you have the option to build up to however many you want it to be. But we're all working defensively on our body positioning, similar to what we mentioned, and offensively working on some dodging concepts. But then, building it in to a larger scale, whether that's a 2v2, 3v3, and so on. So you have a long line of defenders here, and there's balls with them. And you have attackers who are up in that direction. Goalies are involved in this one, and essentially what you're going to start with is a long, high ball. Again, the reason I am a huge person in terms of throwing that long, high ball is that when the ball's in the air, we can steal seconds, and we can adjust, and we can move. No one can score when the ball's in the air. So stealing seconds is a big deal to me. You can put yourself in position, you can send a slide, you can double, you can do whatever you need to do while the ball's in the air. So we constantly preach to move while the ball is in the air. Okay, same thing. If that ball is going up to my opponent and I'm moving while the ball's in the air, I can't be in shooting space, I'm approaching her, and the first person she feels or sees is this mean face, and she's gonna go where I want her to go instead of setting me up where she wants to go, okay? So that whole concept is really hit home in this bogeys drill. This long ball, when you toss that ball up nice and high, you're giving yourself time to move through this 8 meter and set yourself up for whatever way you want your attacker to dodge or not dodge. And that is something that, again, our girls find that they have to practice more and more because they're like, ooh, watch my pretty pass go. Oh crap, I gotta play. And we need quick movements and less thinking on the defensive end, way more anticipation versus reaction. A lot of times we'll say if you're reacting, you're a step behind, but if you're anticipating, even if you anticipate the wrong thing, people are moving behind you and shifting and adjusting, and your attacker's probably forced to move much faster than maybe she wanted to in the first place. So we always talk about anticipate versus react. So the first long ball happens, this attacker is about to catch it, and again, this defender is setting herself up at an angle so that she's forcing that attacker one way or the other. People teach different things, forcing them all to their weak hand, forcing them to help, forcing them away from the line of center. As long as you are attempting to give your defenders a plan, an anticipating plan, I think you're gonna find some success, at least on that front end. Half the battle is slowing down that initial dodge that allows your other teammates to get into position. Obviously, you have no one else right now, so you want to slow this initial dodge down just for yourself to avoid getting that shot opportunity. So as you approach, we talk about this. I learned this at my first clinic I ever went to when I was a peanut at Loyola with the late Diane Jeppy Akins. I was 7 years old, and it was meet, greet, move your little feet. Still talk about it today. Literally, you meet them at your angle. You greet them, maybe a little bit of contact, and you're constantly moving your feet. I said before, we play defense with our feet, and it's so important for us to keep our feet moving because what typically happens is we make some contact, and what's the first thing that stops? Our feet. You guys know, come on, you're smart, you got this. Your feet stop, and as soon as my feet stop, that's when that attacker's in charge, and I'm super reacting, following everything. So we're trying to dictate a little bit here. We're claiming space to one side or the other, we're owning that space, and we're forcing this attacker to drive into the space. In order to know what we're taking away, we also have to know what we're giving up. And that's something, again, having game sense, being a student of the game. I can't just think, well, I'm here because my coach told me to be here. Why am I here? I'm trying to get her to go to her left hand. I'm trying to get her off that straight line. So as this plays out, this attacker is going to dodge, and you can work on whatever dodges you want to with them. This should be a fast-paced thing though. So as much as I love when you're like, okay, set up your roll dodges, set up your split dodges, a lot of times it's just about reading. What is the defender giving you? What space do you have? How can I get to the hand that I want? So recognizing it's still quick and reactive. If this attacker has time to get down, get a good shot off, get your shot off, shot, goal, drill's done, shot, save, we're clearing it to that defender. So just a nice, easy baby breakout. If there is no dodge to take because the defender has slowed them down for 1, 2, 3 seconds, this attacker can roll out and then look to pass to the second attacker, adding in. And immediately, as this D2 defender is reading this rollout, because she can't roll out and then re-dodge. It's not part of the drill, okay? Follow the instructions. As she rolls out, this defender is booking up to be able to get into that mix for that next 2v2. Does that make sense for the cycle of the drill? With that, if I'm the add-in defender, I have to either open my mouth to say I have ball, and I get to that ball, or I'm saying, Dana, go to ball. Dana shifts the ball, I then take her teammate. So now we're working on communication, we're working on bump throughs, we're working on a higher level skill, all because we're adding in another attacker and we're reading the play. Big thing in this drill is reading the ball carrier. I think too often, we know what we're doing with our girl, we see another kid cut and we're like, oh my God, I have 2 girls, what do I do? If you read the ball carrier is gonna tell you which one's important. If I go to you and Dana has the ball, she's looking over here at you, do I care about her anymore? What do you think? If Dana has the ball, good job Dana, Dana has the ball, and I'm like, okay, I have you over here, I have 2, I'm adjusting, I'm suction to you and Dana starts looking that way, do I care about her anymore? No, because the ball carrier is telling me who's important right now. So I'm stealing those seconds again. You might jump the gun, you might, but mistakes happen all the time and we have to just be willing to work through them and adjust there. Celebrating that though. Look, you read Dana's pump fake, you started to go that way, that was the right thing to do. She schooled your butt, good job Dana. Okay, so evolving that in this drill. And this continues through this cycle, however high you want it to build up to. So that could just max out at 3v3, it could go all the way up to 7v7. Whatever you want it to be, you can evolve to that. We typically get a shot off or a goal probably before it's at like 5s, but you can also say we're only working on 2 steps, and if you don't beat them, you're rolling out so you can build up to a 7v7, and it's just a snazzier way to play 7s or 5s or however you want it to be. Does that make sense there? Any questions with that? Yes?
When you're teaching beginning players or novice players, when they go to force whatever side, what about stick orientation?
Great question.
So I am a traditionalist. I
Yep.
hold it one way, and I can move it over this way, and I say it's one thing less to think about.
Yeah.
But what is there new thinking on this?
So I definitely was. Can I borrow a stick from somebody? Oh, look at this snazzy. Thank you, miss. Look, you're in my demo and all. She's so excited. So I was taught, a long time ago, that you rotate your hips and your stick is upfield.
Yeah.
And I have evolved since then to say, do not rotate your hips and play slightly at an angle, right? So my butt ideally is always going to be towards that cage, right? So this is a little bit more of a square mentality. But if you're my attacker, I don't want to be in a straight line with you. You have the ability to go to your right, to your left, you can set me up. I want to claim the space at least one side or the other. Stick positioning for me, I've definitely tried to stress it, but what I find is, for us righties, we're cool here.
Yeah.
Sign, seal, delivered, great. You start to move this way, okay. But when I'm trying to get you to that left side, a lot of times we start to open up our hips and rotate when we throw our stick. Does that make sense? So there's some of my girls who are completely locked and loaded here, they can move just fine, but there's a lot more of my players who start to turn and rotate their hips when they start to throw their arms. It's not black or white for me, just like everything in defense. I think some kids can do it. I think it's a concept to understand. It's important at times. When an attacker is going to shoot, you want to try and match that stick, but it's also, the pace of play now is so evolved and so much more dynamic that I think it's hard to do at times. You know, some people teach switching hands.
Yeah.
If I had to pick up my brown ball left-handed, I'm not really sure how that would go, but it works for some people. So I think whatever you can find that is best for your sort of philosophies, but also recognizing one thing, there's no blueprint. Like, this has to be, I mean, some people do coach, I do not. There are hard and fast rules in some capacity, but it's more so just to be preemptive and understanding if we have this anticipation, we're gonna probably be in the right spot at the right time, even when we make mistakes. With the whole hand positioning thing, I think it's player to player. But there's time and place for it all, you know? So for me, as long as arms are locking up, and we do a lot of work on this, like just repetition of initial contacts, I think is really important, just to understand that if my arms break because the attacker's coming in, which charges are very rarely called, I have to back up before I readjust, because I can't push out, it's illegal. So, you know, making sure that when an attacker comes into me, this is my positioning, this is my give, and it's not breaking that much more, then we can evolve. Because if we don't have our set and ready positioning from the get-go, we probably can't do much without following. And I'm a big believer, you're not following anybody. Like, you're telling them where to go kind of thing, which stick positioning is huge in that. But if we're not ready with our set and ready positioning strength, I think that falls to the wayside at times. So that's a roundabout way of answering your question. I think there's time and place for matching that stick, but I don't think everyone is necessarily capable always without sort of losing their placement.
Perfect.
Anything else? You guys just ready for the fun stuff?
No. Any defensive questions for Tara? It can be outside of her drills as well. So that positioning stick question was an excellent one. Or some challenges you may have defensively with your girls, or we can come back to it too.
We can always come back to it. I'm sure something will pop up. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm going to go over a DAD drill, D-A-D, defense, attack, defense. It's a great one. All right, so it's a doubling drill. It's a 5v5, starting with the defense in a 2-man against a attacker. Ball's on the ground, really close. They're going to pick it up, trying to get out of the double team. Okay, we're going to start like this. Ball's here. It's really hot. Ball's there. So basically what we're trying to do is attackers are trying to get out of the double team and finding their open player. Defense is obviously trying to keep it and make a pause turnover. So as an attacker, so on the attacking side, we got the double C cut. Now the double C cut stuck with me all through growing up. I learned it in 2011 from Scott Tucker to Team Canada tryout because we were horrible at getting out of double teams. So the double C cut kind of reminded me of ice hockey, doing your C cuts and skates. I mean, it's power skating, Scary Mary. Did those for, I did 16 sessions of Scary Skate. It was wild. So double C cut. So basically what's going to happen, if I'm the attacker, I have defenders behind me. I'm going to be here, I'm going to pick up the ball, and I'm going to pick a side. Whether I'm left-handed, right-handed, I'm going to pick a side. Defense are going to follow me, so this is the first C. I'm going to protect my stick, switch my hands, turn hard with my shoulder, use my other C cut to pick off the defenders. So we're trying to get the defenders to pick each other off, or kind of stack. So if I'm here, I'm going to go this way first, I pick up the ball, I do the first C, defense follows me this way, so I'm like this. I pick, switch my hands, go this way, go, they go, I go right to cage, right? So I'm turning my shoulders to pick those defenders off. On the defensive side, we don't want to get stacked. So we want to maintain good body and we want to communicate. We can't have two girls going for the stick. We can't have two girls going for the body. So can I get you guys to come up and demo? That would actually be way easier to show it.
This is good. This is
Sorry.
interactive.
Yeah, you know. Okay. So Dales, you've never been on the attacking end, so we'll just put you. You have the ball. You have the ball. So Dana and Tara are behind her. So the ball would be right in front. Switch sides. Ball would be right in front. Whistle blows. Dales picks up the ball. She's gonna go towards her this way. She realizes that the defense are still on her. She switches her hand and she uses her shoulder to power through Tara and picks off Dana so that she can go right to the cage. Right? So that's the double C cut.
I see a yellow card coming here.
Yeah. It's your speed,
We'll show
right?
you what not to do in adult
Yeah.
team.
Also on the attacking end, it's the change of speed. So if you're gonna go here, pick it up, turn, and still turn and use the same speed, they're just gonna stay on. There needs to be an explosive movement. So again, Dales would get it, turn one way, and as soon as she turns, it's a quick turn and an explosive movement to get around Tara and pick Dana off. Boom, you're going to cage, right? Defensively, we wanna stay in a V. So if we're on, one has body, right here, Tara would have stick, right? So we're going, Dales picks up the ball, we're following. Dana's trying to turn Dales back by getting in front. Tara would get the check.
He's in trouble. I'm in big trouble.
Now, if Dana were to go for ball, that would be a foul, because it's crossbody, right? So Tara has to know that she gets the ball, Dana has body. As soon as Dale switches her hands, it switches. So now Dobie has stick, Tara would have body. So Tara's trying to get her back. Now we don't want a big gap because if Dale's is a super shifty attacker, goes right in between.
It's the worst,
The
Dana.
worst.
That's when you grab the jersey though.
That's splitting the
That's
defender.
illegal
We
again,
don't want that.
Dana. The example of what not to do.
What not? So we want to say
What to do when you're not fast?
I was never real good. Let's be real. So they want to try to stay in a V. Now they want to shift together and move together, and they don't want one to step up, because again, if one steps up, roll in. So we want to try to stay in a V, try to move body, get her to switch her hands, and force her back to the other person.
With double team, something that we preach a little bit, to just off the heels of Kay, when they're facing you, so if she's running towards me, you don't want to go across their body. So something very simple. You don't, when they're facing you, running towards you, we're not going for that check. The other defender has that check. However, as much as she's repeated, we want to sort of stay in that V, keeping the attacker above us. And what tends to happen is as soon as she turns out, I start to chase the stick because I'm like, ooh, this is my chance, right? And you literally have a split-second opportunity for a check. And as soon as she turns out, I've done my job, yes, but then I have to go support Dana, because if Dana turns her back quickly and I'm not in that space, now we're both beat as she rolls through and splits us. So something that we talk a lot about is sort of like pinball. You pinball them back and forth into you. So if she's running towards me, my job is to turn her back. Dana actually will drop, you just said back. Dana will actually slightly drop below me, right? And this is a really interesting thing to actually watch as this evolves and light bulbs go off, because I think too often we think we have to get the ball, have to get the ball, have to get the ball, we're a double team, have to get it. And a lot of times the turnover comes because she's under such stress that she's like, forget this, it's your job now. And she throws this spud ball, where now off ball we come up with that interception, that knockdown, or that errant pass ground ball. So when she's facing me, Dana slightly drops below me. As I go to turn her, split-second opportunity for a check me, and then she likes to take the ball away. She's really actually good at it too. And then as she starts running this way, I slightly drop below, right? I'm not dropping off, right? I'm not giving her all that space, but I slightly drop below just to contain in the double team. That's a big word we'll use, is containing.
So maybe with we younger folk, we
Don't check?
Don't check.
Yep.
Yes.
Just don't worry about the stick check at all.
We
Well, that's
try that at college level too sometimes.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work, but
If you can get them to do that on
Yes.
defense when they're little, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Because then too many times our girls are trying so hard to get the check because it looks good.
Yeah.
Because defense don't get on
Nope.
drills very often. So that.
And this is such an important concept because double teams happen from both ends of the field and especially through the midfield too. And then what I'm still learning is the more control you show defensively, the more leeway that official is going to allow you to play. So if Tara and I collapse our double team and right away I body up and she goes for that check, whether it's a good check or a dangerous check, that referee is anticipating that there's a foul that's about to happen. But as soon as that ref, for whatever reason, this is just what happens, sees us communicate, sees us break down our footwork, they feel like we're in more control because we're showing that we're more controlled. And then we wait for that attacker to bring their hands out of the way, and we take a more controlled check. So although it's all the same skill, just showing your players, the more control you show, the better communication you have, that ref is going to feel like you guys are defensively in a better position to make that contact.
So, and that was my comment there. You're setting up with the referee as well by showing a good demo, but you're also telling the attack or your midi that I'm going to play D. I'm going to take the safe zone here. So you set them up in their mindset that suddenly there's no stick check coming, no stick check, and then all of a sudden it is there. So now she's playing that you're dropping back, and on the third, maybe the fourth rotation, suddenly now you're in position for the stick check because she's come around kind of lazy, like she's like, well, they've dropped back again. She's not looking for the stick check, and then suddenly you're there. And I think getting the girls to vary that up so that she's always reading, she's always attempting to try to read what's going to go on. So you got to kind of jump back and forth a little bit between those two. I like how you displayed that you can go back to that safe zone bit.
Yeah,
Great
cool.
thing.
Great job, guys.
Thanks.
So
Um, So just, and then the off-ball piece, so once little kids, that's okay, we can just keep it to just the double team. But once we get a little bit more advanced, you can start adding the 5v5 concept. And now technically the defenders are man down because there's two up top. So if they get beat, this is when the low defender works on her sliding, right? So you want to take away wherever the girl's turning that side of ball. This girl needs to come in, she may crash. This girl, she's over here, she turns, she would slide, she comes in, this girl comes in, and then we would try to get in front, turn her back, one girl would recover to the open girl. So however you teach it, our girls, we try to get this girl, we have enough time, we'll tell this girl to bump, and we'll move our defense that way, or if we can try to slow her down and turn her back, gives us more time. Once the drill, the double team is kind of over, we just play it out in a 5v5, and then we'll reset it, so it'll be pretty quick. Ball will go back up top, we'll reset, different defense, different attacker, and then we go. So, pretty simple. Any questions? I think you guys answered a lot of them.
That is just something that Kay brought up in terms of the recovery out of the double team. That is something that is really important to practice, because I think so often we think about the build-up of sending the double, getting in the double, how do we stay in the double? And a lot of times we just let it fall to the wayside of when the ball moves and the attack keeps it, what do we do after that? And she sort of alluded to it, moving opposite the path of the ball, so that that defender, when the ball moves this way, you actually recover in the opposite direction to sort of beat the ball to the open player. But that's actually a skill that's really important to practice as well on the defensive end, because I think so often we have that build up, okay, when they are in this set, we're gonna send a double, and then it's like, okay, 1 hour. We didn't come up with it, so how do we recover, how do we adjust? And certainly really important to keeping consistent with that concept of protecting that 8-meter is the most important thing. So certainly something to reiterate is how do we recover after they move the ball if we don't come up with it. Ideally we're coming up with it, but if we don't, what do we do next?
Yeah, so 2 questions. Who sends the double, or who calls it? Sometimes is it from low defenders, or, when do you send the double?
So
what
for the
situation?
drill, or just in the situation?
In general.
In general, so it really depends. So ours was, I mean, in college, we always sent, if we knew we were gonna send a double every time number 5 touched the ball, it would be the low girl sending the adjacent would bump over, and then we would go. So it depends on how your systems work. Sometimes if we're coming together and we're really close defensively, and this girl has it, we'll just go, tell this girl we're leaving, but typically it's one away that would send, or someone from low, sending, kind of being a general, low general. That's kind of what we
So
call
you
it.
frown upon, like, let's say that you feel like maybe the attacker has a little weakness, so you feel like you're right there, and the 2 of you go, so instead of that person anticipating it.
If we just go, and I say, I'm just gonna go,
Yeah.
I'm leaving that girl
Sure.
wide open and no one knows I left.
Yeah.
Right? So I need someone to tell me that I'm good to go. So a thing that we say a lot is send me. Who's sending me? Send me.
Okay.
So this girl hears it, okay, go. She knows she's coming to get my girl. I'm heading to get, and I'm telling the girl that I'm gonna go double with, you know, I'm coming here, I'm coming to help you out. So you need to be sent, because if you just go, you're gonna leave that person way open. If I'm an attacker and I hear it, I'm just dumping it to you, and then you're already beat. So you gotta be sent from someone,
Okay,
typically adjacent from you.
And I think the case point is systematics too. Like we play zone defense and we'll double any kind of balls will goal line extended. So we know we have that anticipation leading into it. Is, you know, depending on which way the ball rotates, who's initiating that double? Is she going, you know, as the pass goes in the air, or are we doubling from the opposite side to catch the attacker off guard? Just to, I think within systematics, so it could be like how Hayes' point is saying, like, all right, every time number 5 gets it, it also could be an area of the field depending on you know, where you're targeting and where maybe some of your strengths are defensively.
Perfect, thanks.
And that's always a good place to start too, but that evolves into instinctual. You know, what you're saying is like, you know, would I tell a kid never leave unless she's sent? No, ideally you're not leaving unless you're sent.
Yeah.
But if you go and you double, ideally my next teammate is falling behind because she sees everything, we're keeping everything in front of us, we're protecting that 8 meter. So I still think like as much as we're gonna put these systems into play, it can't be as black and white as maybe we want it to, because we can't control every move that the attacker's making. But you can teach them sort of great opportunities and locations.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity for a double team. You know, we'd rather in practice figure out, oh, we didn't cover her, a couple things need to happen there, so we can evolve to feeling that sense of, I should probably go on this one, and letting it happen, so we can take those risks. That's the fun part of playing defense. You know, the interception, the knockdown, this chick's rolling back to me, and boom, you're right there. It's the best double team in the whole world. You know?
But I like that,
Who's sending me?
Yeah,
right? That's
huge.
amazing.
Another way that we would practice like sending and knowing when to send is we'll bring attack will go to one coach, defense to another coach, and we'll say every time for the defenders, every time so-and-so touches the ball, we're sending. So you have a set person or 2 people that every time they touch the ball, defense knows that's who we're sending it to. So if we go, we play 77, they're getting it around, and we're okay, every 3 touches that K gets, you send a double team. So 1, okay, 2, the defense are together, 3, you're sending it. You gotta ask whoever's on her saying, who's coming, who's doubling, person beside, both of them are saying, who's sending me? I send someone, they go double, and we know, right? So that's kind of like putting in a game scout a bit, but practicing, sending, communication, heads up, because a lot of times our players will get stuck staring at someone and they're like, oh, she has a ball. Crap, sorry. And so, or I'm beside her and I don't realize that who we're supposed to be doubling is beside me, right? So that's another way that we work on that. But the dad drill is pretty good just to get the basics of, you know, how to get out of a double team and how to stay in one. And then once you get a little bit more on the, once you kind of get it down, you can add a few more players, and that's when you add the sliding, the communication, the coming back in, finding who's open, stuff like that. So my last one is actually my favorite drill as a player. It's 3v2 continuous. This can go up until 77, or you can do all different variations. So we do a mini field, so we'll have a net here and a net here. So this is a normal crease, and this might be like the restraining line, like right here. So just mini center circle, red or center line, red will be here, white's over here. Tell my girls I've never lost at this game. I've lost 1,000 times, but I hate losing. I'm super competitive when it comes to this one. So basically we'll start, we'll say red has the ball, so there'll be 3 red, 2 white. So we're basically working on, so this is continuous, so the drill doesn't stop. So you just keep going, and it kind of shows who can perform when they're tired, who can remember what we're teaching them when, you know, we've been doing this for 7 minutes and we're just keep going. It works when you can have a roster of, we have a roster of 20 runners right now when we play this all the time. So It's pretty doable with a small size. If you have more kids, you can do 4v3, 5v4. It's really great. So basically we're coming in, defense will be kind of set up like this. So the first person will take ball. So we'll say red, this girl has the ball. She has it, these two are cutting downfield while looking at the ball. They'll pass out. Normally I have players who just demo it. It's really easy. So red will end up like this. Here we go. Boom. So we're trying to teach them to stay in this sort of triangle formation. You are a man up. If you are cutting, we try to tell them not to cut as much until we kind of get the flow of it. Because if you're cutting, if this girl decides to cut for this girl, she can actually, if she's marking over here, you cut, she's actually marking too, and it's a 1v1. That's kind of not the point. So, we're gonna be here. Red's here with the ball, red down low, red here, white's on her, she's splitting two. Ball goes over here, this run, she goes, she's gonna move or come back. We're trying to take away the easiest pass. She shoots, say she scores, drill's kind of done, right? So, what we're trying to do is keep them in this formation because that will make the defense have to move. Defense, we're trying to keep the ball to one side. So if red passes the ball this way, we're going to try to keep the ball that way. The thing we're trying not to do is the cross crease pass because that's a really hard thing to defend. So she goes through, she passes, she gets a goal, great. That sucks for white. So white now has the ball. While this was happening, red comes out with two defenders. The red attackers go off. The white defenders now turn into attackers. The ball comes out to a white waiting right here, and then they go down 3v2 on this side. So they go down. White has the ball. They go here. Shot, boom, boom. Here. She goes back. She falls there. She takes a shot or cross crease. Pass. White goes off. Red becomes attack. Red attacker comes right here, gets the ball. Does that make sense? I feel like I went really, really fast. It makes sense? Perfect. So the big concept that we're trying for the attack is the shapes. So if you were to add a 4v3, you're staying in a square, right? If you add a 5v4, you're either trying to do a square with a post or kind of like a house formation. One of the things that we try not to do because it's like a defender is going behind the net when we're doing this drill. If you go behind the net as an attacker, that's pretty much a defender and you're out of the play, right? So it's supposed to be really quick. It's supposed to have heads up. It shows stick skills. It shows when the attacker down here, if she should be in her right hand, she should be in her left hand, if that makes sense. Because if she gets the ball, if she's in her right and she tries to catch it here when the goalie could get it, or she'd catch it, have to bring it all the way to get her angle and shoot. If she's just in her left hand, she catches, turns, it's a shot, right? So we're teaching a lot of different concepts in a really quick environment, and just, it's when they come off, that's when you teach them. You just keep going, keep going, keep going. And I mean, this is one that we've done some really crazy stuff in this one. So it's super fun. When you do 7v7 or 7v6, you can actually do full field. The girls hate that one.
Why?
Why? It's not very leg friendly.
Just to say it's good for conditioning.
Good for conditioning. We actually do one that has 3 teams, and then one will run around. It's kind of crazy. So you can do so much in this little space.
Okay, beginning, mid, end of practice, and for how long will you run this?
So we do this at the end, because we're mean. And we do this we could do a variation of this for probably about 20 minutes. And you just keep going. And the one thing that we do a lot at Louisville, we'll tell them, hey, this is what we're doing, go out and do it. Like, we'll show them, go out and do it, and then let them fail. We come back, we're like, all right, so what did we do wrong? And then they'll be like, okay, well, we're not, like, red keeps scoring. And I'm like, so what do we do? Well, we got to slide earlier. I'm like, you just answered your own, like, why aren't we doing it? So we kind of tend to put them in it, see what they do, take them out, correct the things that we think need to be corrected, and then put them back in. And we probably stop this drill twice to kind of go over some concepts. And then if it's defense having a day, by the end it's offense having a day. So we just kind of go with the flow. It's pretty fun. And I get sucked into it half the time.
And you guys, for this drill, it's very loose. There's not many rules. So I think that's a great way to start with your teams. And then depending on lacrosse IQ or where your team may be, you can start really implementing some serious rules. So one could be, we talked a lot about defensive communication. Well, offensive communication, I think, is just as important or more important. And this is a great drill. So one thing you could do is offense can't score unless that wide open offensive player is using the term, it could be looking for one more pass. So when the ball moves and the D slides, that open attacker is saying one more, one more. So when the pass moves one more, okay, now she's free to shoot. If she doesn't communicate that she's open, the shot in the goal doesn't count. Another thing you can do is also talk to them about, you gotta, on the next run through the next 5 minutes, we're going to play on this quarter, everything has to be a one-touch, quick stick pass. When the D slides, I receive the ball, I'm looking for that one-touch pass to the open player, and now also on the shot selection, you have to fake at least once and shoot around the goalie. So starting very loose with the rules, but then depending on how the drill flows, you can then put some more rules in it, so you're working more on some muscle memory and some lacrosse IQ as well.
And in the younger years, you have to have so many passes, right? Is that correct? So even everyone has to touch the ball. So that could be a rule, like everyone touches the ball, then you can shoot. The one thing I didn't mention is when you do, so when even if there's a shot or a save or a goal or a save, the goalie clears, it has to clear the girl coming from the sideline. So it gives time for the defenders, now attackers, to get in, and then that's kind of makes your fast break sort of scenario. So that's, this person would pop out, get the ball, and one rule that we do have automatically, and the girls know it, that if this girl doesn't touch the ball first, that's a turnover. So just paying attention to the little details like that.
We'll be strict sometimes when we do this drill, and it's actually all the time, because the guy coach is pretty much a stickler for stick work, but if you drop it, the drill's done, turnover, other way. So I know that can be a little tense sometimes for some people that don't have the best stick skills, but something to evolve to. We'll play 1st to 10. And when that turnover happens, obviously you're not getting that point because the goal is the only way you're getting a point. And then the last thing, just to reiterate, we're pretty much always preaching about trying to be as complete players as we can possibly be. So this is really important. Everyone's playing everything here. And a lot of times you'll get the attacker or the defender and it's like, well, I play defense, I don't play attack. Blah, blah, blah. And it's reiterating, in order to defend, you have to know what the attacker's trying to do. What is their goal in this possible scenario? What are they thinking so that you can sort of be one step ahead of them? And then same for the reverse, the attackers need to have an idea of how the defense is going to move to slow them down, to stop their shot opportunity. So this, again, is a great drill just to reinforce being a student of the game and really embracing learning all sides of it, just to be the best you can be in your specific skill set and position.
And for you guys who are working with little guys who might not have the stick work to create a fast-paced environment for this drill, a good thing to do is put the sticks aside, grab some of those sticky pads with the sticky tennis balls from the dollar store, and play this without the lacrosse passing, so that they're working on positioning. You have the triangles going, you have the defensive position, and they're not as stressed out about dropping the ball, because I think the goal in this is to understand positioning defensively, positioning offensively, how can we work together and keep it as fast-paced as possible. So for little guys, that could be a great way to kind of make it a little bit more manageable for that fast pace.
I'll use even a soccer ball.
Oh yeah, that's
Just
Well, we used to
because
get,
then-
when I was in school, we had a softball that we, for the first 2 weeks of 8 hours, we didn't have lacrosse sticks. We weren't allowed to. Well, we could do extra work, but on the hour that we had on the field, we had no sticks. So this was the exact reason to learn the positioning, how to play defense with our arms or with our feet, not with just our stick in our hand, right? So with the older girls too, you just get a softball or soccer ball and just work on it that way. So, and then you can do this like even. You can do it where defense has a man up. You can do all sorts of things. So a lot of stuff, we do a lot of mini field stuff, also because our roster is so small. But we do a lot of mini field stuff, which is fun.
Okay, you alluded to this, but will you just show what that sort of looks like? Because I do think a lot of times, and even at our level, but especially young kids, they pass and they turn and they're like, oh, I'm clearing space. And
Yeah.
they have no idea what's going on with the ball.
Yeah. So especially when we're a man up, we still have a tough time with this because they think they're helping their teammates, and you're like, you are not. You are actually defending. We're open, and now you went behind someone, and they can't get you the ball. So pretty much, if the attack is like there, there, and there, you have two defenders, right? You're making the defenders work. So if you're here, defense here, and there's a defense waiting, or I guess I could put D, whatever. They have the ball, she passes here, right? She's gonna be recovering, or if she's not that smart, she's gonna stay. If this person were to go over here and be with this person to give that 1v1, she's bringing that white and she's right there, right? So we just clogged all this space. So we want to try to keep the defense moving. Sorry, that girl wouldn't be there. So we want to keep the defense moving and make the ball do the work. So biggest thing we can do here, D's there, D's there. We hold, we pass the ball, she goes, she's coming across, she's gonna fall back. This girl stays right here so that she can probably get the ball. Defense are here, she looks, she has a straight shot, or if the defense look in a real game, shooting space, right? So we wanna try to maintain this triangle or a square or whatever shape we're teaching them so that we can make the ball do the work and defense do everything. Sorry, Dee. But,
And staying open to all that. I think so often, we pass and we just turn to move away when we could pass and just back up. So stay open to that play. And Kay also alluded to it, when you're on that left side, or what we call the one spot on the field, that left hand should be up. And I think so often kids are afraid to look silly. And this is the time to practice it. If we don't practice it and we don't enforce it, it's never even going to be possible. And whether they end up doing it in a game, which you can't really control, or not, they're never going to know if they're capable of doing it unless you sort of force it upon them in practice. And the other piece with this is just, I think the fun, snazzy part that I have no bone in my body about like being snazzy with my stick, but I respect when we encourage it in practices because you're in a 3v2. So as soon as I get this ball from you, and I know you're open, why not attempt it behind the back? Why not have fun with that? If we're not trying it in practice, we're never going to evolve the game and the pace that we can play. And really, exploiting the defense. That's the quickest pass. Let's try it. It might go crazy. I'm going to laugh with you. I'm not going to laugh at you. We're laughing together. And one day they're going to get it. But, that stuff doesn't just happen overnight. So why not just try it in a drill where it's calling for some flair, some flash when you can.
perfect. Any questions?
For me, when our coaching staff is warming up goalies or two of them are getting warmed up, all right, one of my biggest pet peeves is when the other goalie is just standing behind the cage. Whether she's in stick work, that's great. If she's not, they can be doing other things while our goalies are getting warmed up. So what's in your packet here can kind of be used as both, either as opportunities for goalies to be doing other things while other goalies are getting warmed up, or if you're working individually with one or two goalies during a session. So footwork, all right, is a big one for our goalies as well. Okay, and the first footwork progression, if we're starting a goalie individual, that's how we're going to start to progress, is just through footwork. I'm a big visual person, so I can just demonstrate the footwork progression. But basically, the stick's on the ground. All right, the first one's easy, just over and back. Super quick, coaches can be timing it, or if you want to get a little bit advanced, we'll have a coach standing in front of the goalie, and as the goalies are going back and forth, they're passing balls back and forth to the goalie to work on some footwork and some hand-eye coordination. Side to side, I guess side to side is the first one. Again, but super simple. Okay, we can have a coach and we're just juggling balls side to side. square, so you're gonna go up, over, back, over, and then making sure we're going both directions. Again, we can get some of that hand-eye coordination in there as well. All right, you want goalies or your goalies' heads to be up, either looking at the coach. You can have them also calling out areas on the field if you are doing different spots or different locations. And then you can go up, diagonally back, over, diagonally forward. And then again, working some hand-eye coordination in there. And that's something that our goalies will go through at a couple different times as far as their footwork. All right, if it's two goalies, so again, like I said before, all right, one goalie could be doing footwork, the other goalie could be the one tossing the ball back. So just working on some footwork, some hand-eye coordination. I think sometimes the footwork aspect gets lost a little bit in our goalies, especially sometimes at the younger level. Is the footwork as far as like movement increase is important as well. So just something that they can be doing while another goalie's getting warmed up or together. So hand-eye coordination, all right, would be the second level of what we'd be moving into for warm-up. Again, whether it's on game days or whether you're working with your goalies, is just we'll stand there. Goalies are set. Okay, anytime you're working with your goalie, it's always top hand. Okay, to the ball for obvious reasons, dominant hand. Okay, so we start no feet. All right, balls are just being tossed, and you're really driving that hand. All right, so as a goalie coach, and I know there's a lot of different philosophies. All right, when it comes to teaching and styles of goalies. All right, but a lot of goalies make saves in tight to their body. All right, so by just working on that top hand drive, it allows them to make saves outside of their body. So if a shot is coming and I'm seeing that ball and I'm going to make the save in tight, right away my head is dropping, there could be an opportunity for me to lose sight of that ball as that shot's coming. If I'm here making saves really tight, all right, it's close to my body may not get behind that ball, so it's really working on driving that hand out to the ball. You can do all the save spots, all right, even low, okay, we're still gonna drive our hands out, okay, the biggest thing is really dropping your hips and not bending at the waist, okay, and I think this is important for the coaches in the room, talking about coaching younger goalies, all right, even if we're just doing hand stuff, still having some good mechanics is where you're set in a goalie position, you're sinking your hips and you're driving your hand forward, all right, versus this motion right here. Okay, again, my chin then comes to my chest, I'm losing sight of that ball. If our shooter's here, okay, I'm losing sight. I could lose the vision of the ball as I'm going down to that save. So that's where it's important, all right, at all areas of the field is really driving and getting your hands away from your body. So you're seeing that ball. All right, some coaches have 3 keys. 1, you got to see the ball. All right, I think that's important. Okay, 2, all right, you got to bring, okay, you can either go nose to the ball. All right, so as I see it, my nose is going to the ball. All right, then my hands, and then my feet. All right, there's a lot of times if I'm a goalie, I'm set, I'm seeing the ball, ball's coming this way, I move my feet, and I shoot my hand over here. If I miss the ball, it's going to the back of the net. All right, it's a split-second difference, but if I'm set here, that shot comes, same with driving our hands, this is the reason why we're doing our top hand drives. All right, I'm here, if I don't move my feet, all right, gravity's always going to take me forward, it's going to help me get to the ball. Where if I go, move feet, and then my hands, I can go in multiple different directions as far as getting to the ball. So that's one of the reasons, all right, why we really work on driving that hand out to the ball for our goalies. As you can see it, you hopefully don't lose sight of that ball and getting your hand out and away from your body. Then it's going to allow you, once we move our feet, our entire body to come into that ball. All right, and it is really a split-second difference. A lot of people, or some coaches or goalies as they go through, step to the ball. Well, yeah, I mean, I might be stepping to the ball, but I could be stepping in the opposite direction. I could be stepping to it, but I'm still very rigid and very tight. And then again, out and away from your body, as my hand goes, even if I do miss that ball, as I drive my hand out to it, I'm square to the shooter, I'm square to the ball, that even if I do miss it, there's opportunities to miss it, my body's still gonna be in place. So we go, so no feet, just top hand, really working on driving. All right, then we're gonna add our feet in, so we're here and we're stepping, okay, to the ball, every which direction, okay, and then we'll do like 1 foot. So if we're gonna go stick side, this is usually where we tell our goalies where we're going. If we're gonna go stick side, I'm driving off that back foot. All right, we're really then working on the activation of our hips and that drive and that power going forward for our goalies. So they're here and I'm driving forward. All right, we don't wanna do the rocking forward. I'm set, good position, and I'm driving forward and I'm coming all the way through that ball with my hand extended. And these are just little things, you know, for our goalies to work on, you know, with their parents, their brother and their sister at home, that are still good mechanics, you know, as you're training your goalies, and not just, you know, on a field or with a cage in front of the shooter as well. As these are all very important. Obviously lefty goalies, we're going, you know, everything's the same, left hand. So then we'll do, so top hand, we're just going with our hands, and we'll add our stick. Okay, when we add our stick, you can do it in 3 different variations, right? You could do it with shafts. So you just here. Again, we can go no movement, driving that shaft, all right, to every place, and then adding our feet in as we go. Then you can go to a player stick, okay, and then you can add a goalie stick in, and these could just be like tosses. All right, you could, you know, sometimes we'll take the, just the head off the shaft, and we just have an empty shaft just for our girls to start working with, again, working on that hand-eye coordination and really driving the hand out to the ball as a warm-up piece. So these, the keys below it here that I talked about, just drive through the ball. All right, resetting before every next rep, okay? One fast fact I always give all of our goalies at camp, all right, as humans, our natural reaction is quickest when we're perfectly still. All right, so that's the biggest thing, is really trying to, you know, reset after every shot or after every rep. So if I'm just walking here, all right, and Kay throws a ball at me, my reaction isn't gonna be obviously quite as quick. I'm not expecting it. If I'm set staring at Kay, she throws a ball at me, I should be a lot quicker in at least deflecting that. It's the same thing, you know, for our goalies, is every, you know, as we're training, every rep you want to be set and ready for the next shot, all right, or the next opportunity that comes their way. So same thing with you know, just with working on our hand-eye stuff, we're getting set. So I drive, I step, okay, I want to reset for the next rep and next shot in the game. We'll do then we'll advance. We do a little bit of goalie conditioning, whether it's lateral shuffles. If I have a partner and I'm shuffling upfield, all right, I'm going to go towards my top hand. My top hand's going to be the one that's reaching out every time, tossing that ball back. Again, just for that movement in cage, getting our hips going a little bit laterally. If we're coming backwards or back the opposite way, same thing. That top hand drive is really coming all the way through the ball. So there's a couple drills that we'll do. If these are cones, all right, the goalie will be in the middle of the square. We'll have a coach or a shooter. All right, you can start again. You can use this, with suited up with sticks. You can use it without sticks. We'll start just with tossing the ball. So we'll toss the ball at the goalie. She'll feed it back. All right, these will be numbered. So this is cone 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, as soon as that shot goes, the coach is going to call out one of these cones, and the goalie, and then if shot goes, coach is out 4. All right, the goalie is going to sprint up to the cone, back pedal, get back to positioning, get set. All right, so it allows for a little bit of conditioning in there, but then also it helps for that mentality as far as can we stick to our technique when we're getting a little bit fatigued on the field, or if we're seeing a number of shots. All right, it's just staying focused late in the game, completing that focus, and we'll do that multiple different ways. You can side shuffle in on the ball. If you're not focusing on the ball, or you're not paying attention to the ball, it's going to be very difficult to make that save. All right, that kind of goes back to, Tara touched on it earlier at the beginning of her drill. If there's goalies in, if there's goalies not, the number one priority is to make saves. So the more focus and the more sharpness that we can have as we are training our goalies to focus in on that ball, all right, the better it's going to be in the long run when there's a lot going on in front of them. From here, we can advance a little bit with different conditioning drills. So obviously goalies in cage here. We'll have a coach or a shooter with a bunch of balls, okay? And we can go. This one, I don't know if it's our goalie's favorite, but drop, spin, chase. All right, so a shot goes. As that goalie makes the save, the coach is telling them to either drop, so they drop into a burpee, get up, get set in their next position. Spin, quick little sprint around crease, getting back in, getting ready for that shot. All right, just working a little bit of conditioning, and then chase. All right, with the end line back here, quick sprint to the end line, and then coming right back into cage. And then you can do that multiple different ways, multiple different variations with multiple different shots. The other one is the 18 ball workout. So there's piles of 6 balls, 3 piles of 6 balls throughout the 8. Coach will shoot 5 of those balls on the sixth shot. All right, that one's purposely going to go wide. All right, so then the goalie's going to read and react to that shot, sprint to the end line, sprint back to the 8, back into the cage, and then we're getting set for the next work on the next shots. Again, so high repetitions, and again, this can be done, at multiple different levels. To go back to, are we getting set to the shooter? All right, are we focusing on smaller techniques? Okay, when there's a lot going on, because it doesn't really matter what level the goalies are playing at. There's a lot happening in front of them. Okay, that offensive sets, crashes, point blank shots, whatever it might be. There's a lot happening in front of them. So the more we can get them engaged in different drills, the more they're going to hopefully have that focus and that attention on ball while they're in cage. So those are 2 smaller drills that we do with our goalies. If you have multiple goalies or different people on the field as well, all right, we also do a save read drill with our goalies. So we'll have a coach or a shooter with some balls here, whether it's a different goalie or a different coach or just a player out here. You can have multiple players out there as well, but our goalie here, or our coach or our shooter is going to take a shot on the goalie. After they take that shot, they're going to approach the goalie and try to take away their vision. All right, once that shot's been released, one of these players is going to have their stick up and start breaking. All right, so once that shot comes, the shooter's coming to take away their vision. The goalie has to read, okay, which player has their stick up, which player is calling for the ball, identifying where they are on the field, and then she's only clearing to that player that has her stick up. Typically, the coach or shooter, whoever gets to the front of the crease first, all right, you're gonna have your goalie, and then they're gonna try to clear right through that person that's standing right on crease. This is a great opportunity for them, all right, if our cage is here, to start coming back into the crease. So if I take the shot here, our goalies still do this, they make the save, pressure's coming, they turn, and they walk back to try to get back to their crease. Well, if Dane's open right now, I can't see her, all right, so one key on this is they're making that save. All right, I want to come behind the cage, but I also want to have my shoulders, my head up to clear that ball, use that crease as separation. Yeah, there's an attacker coming, Dana breaks here, I can hit her with the ball, okay, on the inside. I can hit her with that ball, so our head is up, shoulders are upfield. looking at, looking at our girls clearing the ball, so they're reading, those situations. And again, can be done at every different age level. Again, depending on what you want, but a lot of times, so 10 seconds is a lot of time. Have your goalies take that, utilize that, 10 seconds for them to get set, especially if they maybe aren't a strong clearer. Okay, it just gives them time to kind of read the situation. If one girl's not open, all right, we can look to hit another player or read a different situation there. So that would be clear. All right, one drill, okay, that we utilize with our players. That we utilize with our players and our team for team concepts. All right, it would start with there's a line of players here. All right, we have a line back below cage here, line here. So what it's going to do, it's going to start with a free position shot. All right, it's up to you. It's up to the coaches whether or not that free position is defended. All right, so it starts with a free position shot for our goalie. Goalie takes the free position shot. If she gives up a natural rebound, okay, then this line here, so this would be line 1 with our free position shot, line 2, they're going for a rebound. So if the goalie gives up a natural rebound, hits the pipe, falls in the 8, we want this girl in this line to pick it up, quick shot, turn and shoot it. All right, if it isn't a natural rebound, we'll have balls in the back of the line, so then they can the next person in the line just rolls that ball out. So then our goalie sees free position shot. All right, it doesn't matter. If the ball goes to the back of the net, the second line is still getting that ball out. So then they have to have a quick change of focus as well. So that shot goes, rebound's coming, they're seeing that next shot. After the rebound goes, all right, then our girls down low. Okay, we'll have options to either go for a righty crease roll or a lefty crease roll. The choice is theirs. Again, you can have it defended, you can have it not. I have a couple different philosophies on, shots being defended, shots being undefended. All right, sometimes for goalies, it's good just to see shots. It doesn't necessarily matter if they're defended or not. Sometimes, you get better by just seeing some of those shots. Obviously for some goalies, there's a mental aspect to that. It can kind of get frustrating. But in a drill like this, it helps them with that quick change of focus. And then after the crease roll goes, there's going to be balls in the crease for the goalie that the last person in this line is breaking out, and the goalie's going to hit them with a clear. So then we see multiple different shots coming from our players. So and then depending on what you want to do, this second person in line can also defend that ground ball, so put some pressure on them when they pick it up and shoot. But it's optional as far as you want. But three quality looks there for a shooting drill for our goalies that can be defended or undefended. Another good drill that I'll share with you. It's questionable whether it's my favorite or least favorite. As a coach, I enjoy it for multiple reasons. As a goalie, the jury's still out. So, again, option 1, okay, starts with this free position here. Okay, you can have it defended, you can have it not, and it doesn't always have to be at center hash. We move our shooters around to where the drill is going to start. Okay, so 1 is the free position shot. All right, the second one is going to be a righty crease roll. Okay, again, it can be defended. It doesn't have to be defended. Your choice. So that's 2 would be the righty crease roll or crease roll. All right. 3, there's going to be a bunch of balls over here in this line. Okay, 3, there's a pass across the top. All right, to the opposite line, and then they're coming with a lower angle, lower percentage shot. We try to keep that shot within the second inside hash, just in fairness to our goalies. So from the pass going from 3 across the 8, so this is a pass here, all right, it allows me to see the ball here and then move across the crease to take another shot here. All right, some of the goalies, all right, once they get the pattern down, they'll stand here, all right, wait for that pass. That's when we tell our players to shoot it. All right, you need to be paying attention and working on that movement for the purpose of the drill. Then the next crease roll, all right, comes out of the left side, and then we finish again. The shot here is just a step and rip power shot. So 4 shots coming from the crease roll. The 5th is a power shot, and then we'll also flip it opposite as well. So the pass will come from here, lower percentage shot, and then a power shot. So we'll switch it back and forth. So free position, crease roll, pass across the top, all right, to an alley shot or lower percentage shot, second crease roll, and then a power shot from up top. All right, so there's a lot of shots coming, a lot of different looks, okay? For us, mainly this is more for a mentality thing for our goalies as well, is that, we're gonna tell, like, you only have a certain amount of seconds. If you're still thinking about the last goal that went in, by the time the team's coming down, chances are good that the ball's gonna go in the back of the net again. So we'll keep them in there for usually 3 rounds. If we're really trying to, toughen them up a little bit, we'll keep them in there a little bit longer. But we wanna take them through this. One, you see lots of shots, you see lots of quality shots, but then 2, it also gives that mentality aspect of next shot, and then going back originally from what we said, it's just getting set, being set for that next shot. You'll see until sometimes they get the pattern down or their rotation down, like the goalies are like moving all around. All right, this just really helps them dial it in as far as seeing lots of shots, but then also getting set from a goalie standpoint, thinking next shot, next play. Any questions about goalies at all? I mean, I got like hundreds of drills we can keep going about. We're saving the best for last. I don't want to interfere with Dana's drills here, but does anybody have any questions? No?
I had a question.
Yes.
Just with the individual, where it says the shots, body saves, bunch of balls,
Oh, okay.
save ball, you stay in.
Yeah.
I think I like this, but
Okay.
talk to me about this.
Yeah, so again, with multiple goalies, and if we're training multiple goalies at a time, all right, we'll use tennis balls for this. They won't have any sticks, they'll be suited up gloves, they'll have a shooter, all right, and they'll go and make saves trying to get their hands there, but then also with their body. All right, so shooter's going. All right, next goalie's waiting in line and right on the crease that I'm here. I want to try to drive, explode, especially low, get there. Low's the biggest, right? Is really dropping our hips, thinking, getting behind here, making the save. All right, heads up, shoulders to the shooter. Okay, my hands are still extended out in front of me. I'm not like this, or my stick's not between my legs. All right, it's out. Well, I would have a stick in the body save, but hands extended here. All right, shoulders up. Then I'm popping up, getting to the next shot. If I don't get to the ball or I don't get my body behind it and it goes in the net, I'm rotating in, the next goalie's coming in, and we make it a little bit competitive for our goalies that as we're training this.
Do you ever do that in like regular drills, like save it and stay?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Well, yeah. So we'll do that. I mean, right now, like for us, right now, or really anybody, if you're trying to determine, who's going to be a starting goalie, this is something. Who's going to step up from a competitive standpoint, whether it's, even something in like K's continuous 3v2, like if you make that save, you're going to stay in there for the next repetition. If you're not, you're out. It doesn't matter what you do, but that's how we fuel some competitiveness with our goalies. It's like if you're making saves, you're going to stay in, because at the end of the day, that's what we need you to do, is make saves. So who's going to get fired up by that option, and then you can sometimes, unfortunately, you see it go the other way. Who's going to crack under that pressure? Anyone else? Cool.
All right.
We talked a lot about, I think, banana, transition, fast break. So on my drill sheet, I think these drills are pretty laid out easy for you guys to understand and break down yourselves. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to touch on some offensive principles. I feel like that's an area that we haven't really got to yet today. Starting a little bit basic and then branching out from that. So, and then if I have time, I'll get to the midfield survivor drill, which I think is a great one for your team. So offensively, we talked about the defense, and we're going to go into a chess match, and we're going to talk about all the ways to counter everything Tara and her crew is trying to do defensively. So the most important thing is when we're dealing with a 7v7 or 6v6, whatever lacrosse is going to be, whether it's Olympic style lacrosse, which is exciting that we get to say that finally now in about 10 years, or just the traditional 7v7, is understanding offensively we need to create 2v1 opportunities. That's what we're realistically looking to do, is force the defense to slide, to double, to leave an open player available so that we can easily distribute the ball, get a nice looking cage, and have an opportunity at a good angle to finish that shot and finish that opportunity. It's not always as easy as that, but that's kind of our goal. So what we're looking to do is, as the ball is in the air, Tara talked about, defensively that's an opportunity for us to communicate, and defensively an opportunity for us to get set. So on the counter of that, as an attacker, when the ball is in the air, I'm constantly looking at either getting in my defender's blind spot so she can't see to, or removing my defender from a driving lane that we can create a good look at the offense. So the easiest way to start with this would be a 3v3, and it's important that when we're breaking it down from the beginning components of this, that we're doing it all around cage. So we'll start high, then we'll move our 3v3 to X going from behind, and then also for you guys to then go 3v3 from the wings. So we're looking and getting comfortable at attacking top side of the cage, the wings of the cage, and then also from behind the cage. So a lot of times when we're working on fundamentals, we're just focusing on top side, back side, and we forget about these wings. And the best part about the wing side of offense is when a defender is positioned, right now defensively, their back is to the opposite defender, their back is not defending the cage. So in order to defend the cage off the wing, the defender has to open up, and now when they're defending the cage, you can either take them under or you can take them top side. So this is a very vulnerable place of the 8 meter that a lot of people, I think, neglect to attack from. So again, when we're working on the fundamentals, attack from the top, attack from the wings, and then also attack from the crease. So the first step is creating space and lanes for our offensive players to drive. So starting with that simple 3v3, what we'll do is we'll throw the ball in to the center spot, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tell either attacker 1 or 2 that they're clearing through. So as the ball is in the air to the center attacker, we're telling this player, you're clearing through when the ball is in the air. Again, removing that defender when she's trying to communicate and when she's trying to reposition. And then when this player receives it, she's looking, where's my open space? Where are the extra defenders? And she's just working on driving into that open space. Very simple, the most important first step. Without that, you can't build on your motion offense or your team style offense. So first step, removing defender, creating that space, driving into space. Obviously, if the shot's not on, we don't want to take it, but that's something that you're always going to work on no matter how long you've played lacrosse, you're going to want to shoot. So that's kind of the next step of that. And then also what we want to do is we can work on creating space, but as we're creating space, so on ball is looking where is the open space, off ball, the player who's cutting through, they're making sure that they're always looking at their defender and looking at the ball carrier. So when, say the ball is up top, ball is in the air, I'm looking at getting into my defender's blind spot so that she can't see me and she can't see that ball carrier. Before it's caught, I'm moving into the space and then also keeping an eye on my defender. This timing is forcing this defender. Do I slide from low to high to stop this attacker driving? And if so, when she slides, your attacker is going to do similar to what Kay said in the double team, C-cut, chest to the ball, so so that she's always keeping an eye on that ball and we can make that pass on the inside. So not only am I clearing through, giving the space, keeping an eye on my defender. As soon as she goes to slide that low to high, which we don't want to do defensively, but happens all the time, chest the ball, seat cut back, and get ready to receive. So all great. What's this kid doing? She's up next. We got ball carrier. We're creating space, and a lot of the time, these off-ball attackers are watching the play, which is giving that defender time to communicate, time to reposition, time to crash, time to help. My dad always said, if you want to watch a game, buy a ticket, don't come on the field. So, this attacker right here, as soon as she sees that her teammate is clearing the space, this is letting her know, as well as the ball carrier, where that space is. So again, communication is key. As the ball's in the air, I'm saying, hey Tara, your space is right, drive right. Really important off ball that we're communicating on that. As I communicate, I know I need to hedge away from the driver's side. So if my defender on this side has to go because this defender is covering the cutter, I'm going to drag her out and away to force her crash and her slide to be a further distance away from that ball carrier. So what can that hedge look like? So right now I'm off-ball player. I'm saying, Tara, drive right side, your space is right. Your hedge can just be a simple side shuffle. Move her away. Your hedge can be a little bit of a back pedal to move her away. Or I can just even cut in, knowing that I'm going to pop back out to hold my space so that I'm there and I'm secure.
And a lot of times that last little pinching in makes that defender have to look at you. Sometimes, you know, if you're at a higher level, sometimes you just shade to the outside. That defender's not always going to pay attention to you and might already be sliding. But you pinching in just makes me look at you for that split second that your teammate needs to actually go into that lane of that space that was just created. So keeping that defender honest, I always think just a little touch in there is always good.
And then we're going to build to the next level of this. So again, do that behind cage and do it off the wings, the exact same principles, just different spacing. Then we're going to move to a 4v4. And you're going to see why that off-ball player is so important. So again, what we're going to work on, ball is going to come into the driver, so she receives the ball. When the ball is in the air, we are going to cut, look to see cut, so the principles still stay consistent. Off ball is communicating, letting the attacker know that your space is right. Take that right lane. Going to make your dodge. Next ball, which we just worked on, she is going to hedge, pinch away. And now the most important thing to a team offense is not only driving into space, creating space, but is always having support outside the ball. So as this driver is going, we're hedging away. It's two away, just like on defense, that is going to connect this whole motion offense together. So as the drive goes, this attacker realizes that she is two away. She is now the outlet. Outlet is probably the glue that keeps unpredictable offense consistently going. So I always tell players, if you want to shoot more, you want to dodge more, you need to outlet more. So it's not always the person that starts the play, creates the play, but it's the one that's connecting the play together that's actually going to get a lot of the action. So we're clearing through, we're taking the space, hedging away to pull this defender, and then what we're going to do is she hedges away, two away is going to start hedging two. So as I hedge two, there's still a lot of space here that she's got room to dodge out. She can re-dodge in, and if the double team goes, so this defender goes to double, Tara's over here off ball, she's smart, she sees it, she covers in, this attacker's going in, out of a double team, it's going to be really, really hard to connect that open player inside. So right now, double has gone, my back door is now defended, because out isn't covering the outlet, out comes in to crash in. So right now, this right here is my open attacker. And it's almost impossible under pressure to find that available player. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in with K, we're going to C cut, C drive off that double team out and away. We're going to connect with our outlet, who is outside that 8 meter. That's really important. The reason it's an outlet is you want to stay outside that 8 meter, that 15, so that there's space to make a clear pass, an easy pass, space for me to receive that ball. We're always going to go out before we pass back inside to that open attacker. There might be some times where this double team goes, that defender's late, and we can hit this wide open attacker for a nice little draw and dump. That would be beautiful if that happened consistently. But against a good defensive team, they're always going to cover that first defender, and that second slide might be late, which is why that outlet is going to be key to support, send that ball. Now you're open. This outlet can see all sides of that 8 meter where the best place is to drive, and if there is no pass inside, D has covered, shifted inside, the defense has covered and is now playing this outlet spot. Now we're back, set back in, and we can drive again the open space. Is that on? Yes, shot, not, we can roll out, we have the back door, 2 away, outlet outside, and we can keep that motion offense going. And this is something that you can cycle through from all parts of the 8, behind, wings, and top, kind of like what I showcased, but offensively, letting those girls understand that the first look isn't always the best look, and what does that mean when the defense slides, recovers, holds you, repositions, or communicating well. They might have stopped you the first time, but now you're going to attack them again. So we're coming at you high, you balance out, we're going to come attack you from the wing, we balance out, now we're going to hit you from X as well. So it's just basic principles that you can then create draw and dump opportunities, 2v1 situations, swinging the ball, opening space, and just really working together as a collective unit, which is great if you have a solid offensive group. If you only have 3 attackers that can really understand the play, control the ball, then you can use these same principles with just fewer numbers and have your other players maybe stacking off ball, just cutting off ball, and kind of use them in different roles instead of that team offense. So that's kind of as quick as I could go through that. Create space, drive into space, always see cut back, clear out, outlet, let the outlet pass in because she has the best vision, and keep that motion consistently cycle. Attack from high, attack from the wings, and attack from X. And obviously, when you're looking at teams you're playing against, you can see defensively they're really great up top. So we're going to motion from behind. Or they're really great crease defenders. So let's attack from the top or the wings. So kind of understanding where your mismatches are there, and putting your dodgers in the dodging spot, maybe your vocal offensive players in those outlet spots, and then your quick first step kids in those backdoor spots as well. So it can be a play, it can just be a basic motion, but it's going to give you guys some really great opportunities and looks. All right, any questions?
Celebrating all those roles too, sorry to cut you off. Celebrating all those roles I think is really important. A lot of times we just celebrate the end game, and the end game didn't happen without the clear through, without the pop back, without the shade, the fade, the hedge, as you call it. And I think sometimes we forget that, but celebrating that on the field too does go a long way, especially when you have 2 or 3 heavy hitters on your team where they get a lot of the glory. Those other kids have to know, hey, you occupied your butt off, and that's what created that lane and that distraction for Dana to get to that game.
For sure. The timing of the first back door, front door, or just a clear through is going to be what opens up every possibility on your offense. So again, the goal isn't going to be created by just that goal scorer. Most of the time it's going to be the first clear through, or it's going to be your outletter that makes that magic happen.
Hockey assists, right?
Hockey
There
assist,
you
2
go.
assists. Exactly. She's learning so much.
I am. I'm just, taking the culture all in.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming today. Like I said, I know you're taking time away from your families and stuff on a Saturday, so your players really appreciate it, whether they tell you that enough or not. Thank you guys all so much.